Okay, now just in the interest of time, let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop on supply chain analytics by games and data visualization. Yesterday we introduced and played the Hunger Chain simulation for teaching shortage gaming, supply chain competition and rationing. And today we're going to demo a free business database to teach supply chain analytics by data visualization and interpretation. Right. Specifically, I will share with you some new course modules that are visually informative, right, on inventory and sourcing analytics, job analytics, and competitive intelligence, right? So instructors are free to use and modify these modules. If you have any questions, can you please type in the chat box? So we will answer them at the end of the workshop. Okay, so let me first answer the question of why supply chain analytics, specifically, right, the recent transition from supply chain management to supply chain analytics, and the significant unmet demand for tenants. They are summarized visualization-based, right, new course modules that are designed to meet this demand and their learning outcomes and career potential. Right, I also demo a few exciting moments of these modules, so you can get some hands-on experience. And finally, I will share the feedback from students. Okay. Now, as everybody knows, that supply chain management is quickly transitioning to supply chain analytics. Right? Data is exploding in multiple dimensions, right? Such as transactional or financials or economics, and even Internet of Things, and that means machines. Right? It is hard to imagine that the supply chain decisions can be made without data support, right? Which is the supply chain analytics, right? So supply chain analytics is quickly becoming essential for supply chain professionals, as we have witnessed the significant growth of the supply chain analytics market. But the growth is fueled by tangible benefits companies obtain from data analytics. Right, an earlier report showed that data analytics helped to improve customer service and demand fulfillment, right, and to obtain faster and more effective, right, reactions to supply chain issues. Right, just imagine you get the COVID-19 onset information 2 weeks ahead of your competitors, right, and greater integration and coordination of supply chains. A more recent, right, report by Deloitte showed a huge return on investment, right, of supply chain analytics and predicted that the competition for technically and analytically savvy tenant is high and will only increase in the future. So this presents question for us, like professors or educators, right? How to get our students ready for this transition? I would say give them the right skills. Give them the right skills. That is, the most important skills is the data analytics skills to discover, prioritize, and solve problems. Now, depending on the data source, actually, data analytics can be classified into two categories, right? The first is called business intelligence, or for short, BI, and second is called competitive intelligence, which is CI. BI use internal data, right, such as internal operations and processes of a company to discover and resolve, right, problems such as abnormalities, disruptions, and inefficiencies. Now, CI is different. They use the data of external environment, such as the market, the supply chain, your customers and suppliers, and your competitors, right, to track trends and risk and benchmark performance and discover suppliers, new customers, right, technologies, and business opportunities. Now, they provide different aspects, but they are of the same importance. Right? CI is used to be the favorite tools for venture capitalists and investors. But now it is recognized as an essential tool for supply chain professionals. Right? For example, right, a company with a perfect internal process can still fail, right, by external forces, right, such as market or technology transitions, competition, or supply chain changes. The main challenge of data analytics is actually data, but not analytics. Right? If you ever taught a course in data analytics, right, the first issue is where to find the data. Right? Now, data collection and cleansing often takes about 80 to 90% of the project time. Now, once data is ready, we can use visualization. Visualization and analytics can be automated by software such as Tableau, Microsoft Power BI, and so on. But remember, they don't have data. These software do not have data by themselves. Now, if you do business intelligence, meaning internal processes, to improve internal processes, right? You need company's internal data, right? Which you have to clean. There's no other choice. But if you teach CI, that means competitive intelligence, right? Then competitive intelligence requires financial data, which may be readily available, right? Such as data sources could be Yahoo Finance. But data is relatively unclean. You still have to clean it. Or Wharton research databases, right? The data is still unclean. Also, it costs a lot to get that data. Now, clean data, and which is also ready to use, is provided by Standard & Poor's or MSCI and Bloomberg, right? They provide data. They also provide analytics tools and newsfeed, right? The data is ready to use. For example, S&P provides or classifies 47,000 active publicly listed companies, right, from 120 countries. And totally, they have about 88,000 companies. Many of them, of course, is not listed, private companies. Now, Bloomberg provides about similar service, but the issue of these two providers is it's very, very expensive. Right? The data is very powerful, but it's also very expensive. Just for instance, Bloomberg will charge per subscriber per month about $3,000. Well, it's nothing for institutional investors, but I don't think we can use it to teach the students. So for free and educational databases, right, there are many choices, but there is a few. Now, for instance, this GCPS and SAData.ai, right, is an educational website that provides cleaned, classified, and globally standardized financial data. Right, they actually have 33,000 plus companies from top 20 plus exchanges over 100 countries and so on. Now, it's not as good as S&P and Bloomberg, of course, but I think for educational purposes, it's quite enough. Right. I'm sorry. It also provides built-in visualization and analysis tools. Data dimensions includes industry, right? So industry classification, KPIs, regions that includes both country and state. So we can look at United States, and not only United States, but also maybe New Jersey or New York or Texas. Where are you from? And year. And finally, facilitates open sharing and learning. So you can find, intelligence developed by other people. Now, let's take a closer look at the desired visualization and analysis tools, right, for competitive intelligence or even business intelligence. Right, the first tool you should have is like a business geographic information system, right? For short, business GIS. So this system will map or connect, right, financial or company's information with into the map, where project needs information onto the map. Right, so you can answer the where question, right? You can benchmark regions and answer the where question, such as where's the money, where are the jobs, and where is the risk. Now, the second type of analysis tools that we should have is industry analysis, right? Which allow us to benchmark different industries, right? And answer questions such as in which industry we can make more profit with less effort or cost. Now, we should also have an enterprise level or company level analysis tools that help us, right, benchmark companies and discover problems and discover strengths and weaknesses of a company, right, relative to its competitors, and help that company to identify problems and causes. As you can imagine, this will be really useful, right, for management consultants, for corporate analysts, and even supply chain analysts and so on. And a tool also like a navigator, right, which help a company to identify its competitors, right, by pointing out which industry classification it belongs to, right, either potential or existing competitors. And finally, we'll be able to map, right, a company or an industry, right, onto the supply chain, right, to find out the upstream and downstream industries and potential companies or potential suppliers and customers, right? But of course, you can imagine more, right? But I would say these analysis tools, right, if we can have them, that would be really, really useful, right? Now, I want to share a few supply chain analytics courses or course modules, right, based on data visualization and interpretation, right? We're focused on learning outcomes and career potentials. Now, the first course module I want to share is called the competitive intelligence, right? Now, investors and venture capitalists, of course, use competitive intelligence for investment research, company evaluation, and to discover new business opportunities. I would say this module is equally useful for supply chain professionals because operations and supply chain professionals can use AI or competitive intelligence, right, to discover problems and identify causes, right? For example, you can help a company to position itself, right, in the competitive landscape, can help the company discover its strengths and weaknesses, right, relative to its competitors. And by making comparisons, right, you will know, you will be able to identify the key problems and the causes. Now, so around this course module, we have developed many cases, right, such as in industries such as technology hardware, right, which is computers or smartphones, right, or semiconductor, right, retail and airlines, and so on. So here, and the bottom, this is the teaching resources, right, with all the data, and the teaching slides is here. I'll show you briefly. So of course, this will be useful, right, for corporate analysts, supply chain analysts, and management consultants. Now, sourcing analytics. Okay, that's the second cost module in the share. Now, because cost of goods sold is often the largest cost component for any company, right? So identifying and selecting, let's say, capable and inexpensive suppliers globally, right, become an important issue, right? So you want to compare suppliers' technical capabilities, right, their pricing, right, and their financial robustness. Right? You don't want your supplier to bankrupt, right? So also you want to measure your leverage and bargaining power, right, relative to your suppliers. Now, the cases we have built into this course module, right, is the iPhone's CPO global sourcing. So how Apple, source semiconductors for its smartphones, right? And it's a very interesting story. And the conclusion you will draw, it will be very close to what Apple actually designed, their actual plan. Now, of course, this is useful for supply and procurement planners, right, analysts and managers, right? As I said in a previous page, the teaching resources is you can access through this link. Now, inventory management, I'm sure everybody teach inventory management, right? Because it's so important, right? It's the cornerstone of supply chain management. But students often lack interest in it. It's not their fault because we somehow didn't motivate them to learn in the first place, right? Now, different from conventional approach, right? That is used teach by inventory models and mathematics. Data analytics, right, can make inventory management, right, much more interesting and useful by answering three questions. My first question is inventory important for my company or industry? Right now, for some industries, inventory is not important. For example, banking or software, and so for some service-oriented industries, right, inventory is not important. Right. Some of them actually in my class, because I used to teach in our new work class, which most of the students are from Wall Street. So they have absolutely no interest in inventories. Right? Until I show them how inventory drive a company's financial performance. And that's the second question that you should help students to answer. Right? So if we work so hard on inventory, right, spend so much money and effort on inventory, would that ever have an impact? Right? How does inventory affect our company's, right, financial performance? Right? And now, suppose inventory is important, and inventory also does have an impact on our financial performance. But you still have to ask the sort of question, right? How do I know if I have an inventory problem? Now, this question is valid because a company may be already performing close to optimal, right? So if you you'll make, there's very little room for extra improvements. It's possible, right? So to answer these questions, right, these questions can only be answered if you have a lot of data, right? So and we built several cases around into this module, right, on Amazon versus Macy's or Amazon versus Walmart in the retail industry. Right, this of course will be very useful for S&OP, right, sales and operations planning analyst, right, planners, inventory managers, and such. Now, the last module I want to share today is called the dream job analysis. Now, because many students, right, wants to know how to find a dream job, and defined by higher pay and lower effort. And the job also has a career growth opportunity and also has a job security. When I first taught this module, people think this is a scam, but it is not, right? It is actually achievable using data analytics. You have to answer, of course, you just have to answer three questions. The first question is, right, of course, using tons of data, right? Which region to locate, right? And second, right, which industry to enter or exit, and finally, which companies to work for. Now we're going to use we have built the S&P 500 companies data into this case, right, to illustrate how to find a dream job, and of course, this is relevant to everybody. Okay. Now, let me share some exciting moments. Let me drill into some of these modules. Right, I share some exciting moments. First, I want to demo the triumph and the strategic importance of operations and supply chain using the competitive intelligence module. The question is how to beat up, right, competition by operations and supply chains. Right, this is a great module to motivate, right, students to learn operations and supply chains. Okay, so let me start with the Compaq and Dell example. Right, the $24 billion insight. Right, here's the story. Around the year 2021, I'm sure everybody has experienced this. Compaq was the market leader with the largest market share. But it also has healthy cash flows and many patents. But suddenly, right, Compaq sold itself and completely abandoned its strong brand. It sold itself for $24 billion, which is a great deal anyway. But still, it's a question because this company was at the peak, right? It's the market leader, and it makes so much money. Why Compaq sell itself, right? And to answer this question, we need to explain a little bit the background of computer industry, right? Computer companies have almost the same, technology, such as CPUs, operating systems, and so on. Of course, they have minor inventions from this and that, but the main raw material suppliers, right, or component suppliers are the same. They're really competing on customer services and cost structure. And here is the data. Right, if we understand this data, if we truly understand this data, we will know why Compaq sold itself. Right? A few highlights of this data. So Compaq, this is their financials in year 2000, the year before the Compaq decided to sell itself. Compaq's gross margin is higher than Dell, right? About 3% or 2.5%. But Compaq is less efficient operationally. So its inventory versus sales is 5% versus Dell only 1%. So that translates to inventory days, about 25 days for Compaq, about 6.5 days for Dell. Right, so inventory actually play a huge role in operating costs. Right, so if you look at operating costs, Compaq is about 40% of the sales. Dell is about 10%. So let's do the math, subtracting operating cost from gross margin, you get the operating margin. So conclusion is Dell outperformed Compaq by 1% in operating margin. So here's my question. Why is this 1% so critical? That Compaq, the market leader, gave up the competition and sold itself. Anybody can tell us the insight? Okay, now just for the interest of time, I can tell you, I was interested in this case starting from the time Compaq sold itself. I was thinking about this for 5 years. So I was telling students all these numbers and so on for 5 years until one day suddenly I realized what was going on. Now, to understand why this 1% is so critical, right? We have to first look at the gross margin, right? Why did Compaq have a higher gross margin than Dell? Now, if one company has higher gross margin than the other one for the exact same product or in the same market, there are only two reasons for that. Either Compaq has got a better deal from suppliers. They have a lower cost of goods sold, right? That's why they have higher gross margin. Or they have higher pricing, but they get the same deal from suppliers, but they have a higher pricing. But in the previous slide, we just said they have the same raw material suppliers, right, or component suppliers, right? So the likely case, actually, the real case is Compaq actually was selling its product at about 10 to 15% higher pricing, right, to customers than Dell. Right here, so you put all the facts together. That is, Dell, even with a lower pricing, so selling its product at a cheaper price, right? Even with a cheaper price, Dell can make more profit. How can Compaq compete? Right. So if Compaq wants to be more competitive, try to reduce its price, right? Dell can do the exact same thing, and Dell has more room to reduce its price. Right. So it's very hard to compete. So because Dell has lower price, for almost the exact same product, so Dell is grabbing more market share constantly from Compaq. And even with a lower pricing, Dell is making more profit. So I think this is a hopeless game for Compaq to compete. So Compaq made a very intelligent choice because Dell enjoyed a clear advantage in operations, right? And which enables, right, Dell to lower its price and also make higher profit in the same time. And if a company can do this constantly, then this company is going to win the competition. Now, the question is, Dell's management clearly understand this data, right? But not everybody understands this data, right? For example, the company that bought Compaq, that is HP, clearly didn't see what was happening. Clearly didn't really understand this data. Okay, now this is an example about 20 years ago. Now, a more recent example, right, is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, right? TSM, right, was invited by U.S. government to open a new 5 nanometer semiconductor factory in Arizona, right? Now, this news immediately actually shocked me because if we just look at the supply chain, right? This time, let me show you the more interactive um, graph. Here we go. Can you see? No, not this one. Let me just show you the because that there will have data that's here. Okay, so I searched on a mapping, supply chain mapping. I searched Intel. Then here's what I have. Let me just close this and okay, close this too. So I searched technology distributors. Let me just refresh this. I think I need to. So I get to semiconductors, right? I open semiconductors, right? Now this is 2022. Now I don't want that. I want 2020. That is the time. That is the year of interest, right? We call that we were in technology hardware, right? Storage and peripherals. That's computers and cell phones and smartphones. And we go up supply chain. That is electronic components, right? And who is supplying electronic components? That's semiconductors, right? So we move up the supply chain to see semiconductors. And here we open it up for 2020. What do we see? Right? What can we see here? Right, we have United States in blue, right? All these companies from US in blue, such as Intel, Broadcom, right? Qualcomm, Micron, Texas Instrument, and so on and so forth. And now you understand why I was shocked, right? Because US seems to have the most powerful semiconductor manufacturers in the world. Why invite Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, TSMC, right? That was year 2020. So let me come back. So if I remove United States, okay, that's the rest. So if I add it back in, so you can see the distribution of these companies, right? The countries, which country has the dominance in this industry? Clearly, US is a play a dominant role, right, in this industry. So let's come back to my slides. Okay, there we go. Let's see, what should I do? Oh, here we go. Sorry, please bear with me. Let's right. So that's why I was shocked. Okay. Now, looking into the data, however, right, we find a possible another Compaq versus Dell case. Why? Let's do a value driver analysis. I'm going to show you that data a little bit later, but here is just the slides. So so we plot the semiconductor manufacturers from US, from Taiwan, from some other countries, right, onto the same picture, right, with x-axis being gross margin, right, y-axis being the operating margin, right, gross margin and operating margin. So the Euro case is if one company has a higher gross margin, right, it also tends to have a higher operating margin, right? That's the normal case. But if you can find a counterexample, right, such as the TSM and Intel, then you will find another Compaq versus Dell case, right? Likely. So Intel is has a higher gross margin, about 60%. TSM has about 50%. So recall that in this semiconductor supply chain, there are suppliers. Right? That means okay. That means the semiconductor equipment and material manufacturers, they are the same for almost for everybody, right? Let's say we have the same semiconductor equipment manufacturers for everybody. Right, ASML, right, ASML from Holland, from Netherlands, right, for everybody. So if you say one company has higher gross margin, that means this company is pricing higher, right? Now, but even with a higher pricing, Intel is making less operating margin than TSM, right? That's exactly the same case as Dell versus Compaq, right? Okay, now we can take a closer look, right? This can be better illustrated by a revenue breakdown, right? For example, the US semiconductors, I compare US semiconductors with Taiwan semiconductors, right, side by side. And so to your left, the two bars, right? I think here it's better to just click on this. It's better to just illustrate by by an interactive graph. So let me just come over here. That was the okay. That was the scatter plot I just showed you, right? You can see Intel is here. That's the Intel, right? It shows the gross margin and operating margin. And here's TSM, TSM. Okay. And let's look at the breakdowns. Right, let's see that here. Oh no, it's not. It's here, sorry. So this is another project I just did. Okay, let me show you this. So this is the semiconductor breakdown for Taiwan, for the Taiwan companies. And this is the semiconductor revenue breakdown for United States. And we have three companies here, Intel, right, Qualcomm, and Taiwan semiconductor manufacturers. Now forget about global foundries. So let's just look at Intel and Taiwan semiconductor TSM. If you look at the gross margin, right, TSM has higher cost of goods sold than Intel. That was year 2000. Let me see. Should be year 2020. Yes. So that means given they have same suppliers, right? So Intel is selling its product at a higher price because cost of goods sold accounts for a smaller percentage of the total revenue, right? That means the gross margin, which is one minus this cost of goods sold, right, is higher for Intel, right? But if you look at the net margin right here, right, that's the net margin, right? This is the cost of goods sold, right? So if you look at net margin, right, TSM is like 38%, while Intel is 26%. So TSM has the highest. So what makes TSM so profitable, even with a lower pricing? That's look at the several reasons, of course. Now, income tax about the same, right? All 5%. Now, the two differentiating factor, right, is the sales general administrative expenses, that is operating cost, right, and R&D, right. Especially look at the sales SGA cost. TSM is about 2.6%, right, versus Intel is about 7.9%. Right? How could TSM have such lower operating cost or SGA cost? Right, that was a significant advantage. Okay, let me come back to the to my presentation. Sorry, I have to adjust the okay. All right. So as I just said, right, TSM has lower SGA cost, which means which leads to lower pricing and higher net margin. right? Intel has higher SG&A cost. Of course, also research and development cost, which leads to higher pricing and lower net margin. Now, just another example, right? And that also looks like compact versus Dell. That is Walmart versus Amazon, right? Now, this example is sensational because they were competing all these years, and the outcome will determine the future of retailing. Now, after year 2021, we can see that, right, the revenue gap between these companies is narrowed down significantly, and they become almost the same, but still Amazon was lagging behind. But if you look at the operating income or loss, Amazon already caught up with Walmart. Now, what's interesting is even with a lower total revenue, Amazon is making about the same operating margin. That's interesting, right? So let's bring up some more detailed information. Right, let's compare their gross margin. And we find out Walmart was very consistent, right? Blue is Walmart, about 25% gross margin. Right, so essentially they inflate the price, the market price by 30% constantly. But Amazon is different, right? It used to be let's say about 20%, and now in recent years, after year 2018, it lowered it down to about 15%. So Amazon has lower gross margin. But if you look at the operating margin in recent years after 2018, right? Amazon actually is higher. So this is another compact versus Dell case, right? So let's break down the revenue. Okay, we can better see the difference, right? This is year 2021, and Walmart, like we said, right, 75% of the, cost of goods sold accounts for 75% of the total revenue, right? And the sales general administrative cost accounts for about 20%. Amazon is the other way around, right? So the cost of goods sold accounts for about 85%, which means has a much lower pricing, but it's operationally so efficient, right? The SG&A cost is only 8.8% versus Walmart 20%. So it still make more profit, right? 7.1%, right? Than Walmart with a lower pricing. All right, so this is another compact versus Dell case. So the question is, okay, how did Amazon achieve such a lower SG&A cost? Now, to answer this question, we have to look at inventory analytics. We have to use inventory analytics to analyze, to understand the factors that drive operating or SG&A cost. Right, here I'm going to use another example. Right, the same observation applies to Amazon versus Walmart as well. So I'm going to use the example of Amazon versus Macy's. And Macy's is called the Americas, right, department store. Right, it already exists for about 160 years. Now Amazon maybe just 20 years at most. Right. Now let's look at their 2021 revenue breakdown. So we can see their cost of goods sold. We can see their net income. We can see their SG&A expenses. Let me just go to the interactive graph. Interactive graph. And here we go. See, this is the one. No, this is Walmart versus. Okay, here we go. This is the Amazon versus Macy's. Right here, we can see all the numbers. That's why I prefer to do this. So this is Macy's. Oh, this is not year 2021. I think this is year 2000. Let me see which year is this. 2019. Oh, 2021. That's during pandemic. So Macy's lost pretty badly, which is worse. So let's look at 2019, which is a normal year. And even in this year, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Even in this year, we can find out Macy's cost of goods sold or cost of goods sold is about 60% of the revenue. So the price is very high. So so suppose they bought the same thing, the purchasing price, right? Cost of sold is $100 of a jacket or something, right? Macy's is going to mark up to 150. It's going to mark up to $150 or something to sell, and Amazon will mark up maybe just $16, $116, right? We'll just mark up $16 on the product because of its much higher cost of goods sold, right, as a percentage of the revenue. Now, Amazon still make about the same amount of money in this year, right, because it's operationally extremely efficient. And look at SG expenses, right? It's only about 8.5%, and Macy's 35%. Right. So what drives the SGA cost? Right. So to see this, we have to do like a data analysis, right, to find out. Just bear with me. So here we go. So we did a value driver analysis, right, between inventory turnover, which is x-axis, right, and oh no, here's gross margin. I'm sorry. So okay, between inventory turnover and the sales general administrative cost over total revenue, right? So we're looking at specifically the operating cost portion of the total revenue. Right, we'll find out, right? We'll find out. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. So we'll find out a strong negative correlation, right, between inventory turnover and operating cost versus total revenue. So as inventory turnover increases, here's our Amazon data, right? Increases, the sales general administrative cost, right, will decrease proportionally to revenue. And this is a strong correlation with R squared about 50% and the same slope for different years, almost the same slope for different years. Now, so, and use this, we can explain, and then let's come back to see the asset breakdown to check their inventory levels. So we'll find out retailing, right, in year 2019, I believe this is, right, year 2019. So compare Macy's versus Amazon, their assets breakdown. Now, for Macy's, right, it carries, so inventory accounts for about 27% of the total assets. And if you look at Amazon, which is about 9.1% of the total assets. Right, so that means efficient inventory management by Amazon, right, significantly reduced its operating cost. So allow Amazon to offer a lower price to customers while still making the same or more profit than Macy's. So let me come back to my presentation. Sorry for the switch. Here we go. Okay. Right. So this is 2021 data, and in this year, just change year, you'll get this one. Right. In this year, you can, of course, Macy's was losing pretty badly because of the pandemic. Right. This is the picture I just showed you, the negative correlation between inventory turnover and the SGA cost. And this is the, I think 2021's, right, asset breakdown. We can still see much higher inventory carried by Macy's and much lower inventory carried by Amazon. Right, so the conclusion is Macy's, Amazon could use lower inventory, right, to lower SGA cost, and which enables lower pricing and higher profit. Now, Macy's or Walmart, the same thing, you'll find the exact same trend. For Walmart, they have higher inventory, right, higher SGA, which leads to higher SGA cost. And so they were forced to offer a higher pricing, but even with higher pricing, they get lower profit, right? So the conclusion is inventory efficiency, at least for retailing. I cannot say for other industries or other countries, right? But for US retailing, inventory does drive, right, SGA cost. And so a retailer can cut price right, to customers while still making more profit and grow faster because of its lower price, right, than others. Okay, now let me just do a one last one so we'll open up for questions. The one last example I want to talk about is called the dream job analysis. Now, I want to claim this is not a scam. And of course, only if you know how to do data analytics on jobs. So my first question to you is, what's your dream job? Can people define dream job here? Now, just for the interest of time, like for most people, a dream job is, let's say, a dream job is something you like to do and also makes you tons of money. Yeah, right. Now, this is actually the first lecture in my class to students. I want to make sure they understand, right, the importance of data analytics. I use this example. Also helps them to find jobs. Okay, now more specifically, right, it means that you can find a job. You don't have to spend much effort, but you can get higher pay, right? You have growth opportunities, and also you have job security. Sounds too good to be true, right? But if you know how to use data analytics, it's actually achievable, right? You just have to answer three questions, right? Which region to locate, and which industry to enter or exit, and finally, which companies to work for. Now, for regions, you might want to choose economically prosperous regions, which might have many job opportunities. Now, for industry, right, you want to enter industries that is sunrise, not sunset, right? Because if your industry does not have a future, neither will you. Right? For companies, you're looking at the company's profitability, means higher pay, growth potential, that means your career path, and also risk and financial health, that means your job security. Right, so let's use the business GIS tools. Right, we can answer the following questions. Right, let's use S&P 500 companies and US as an example. You can do similar analysis to other countries as well. Right, to find out where are economically most prosperous regions in the US. Right. Okay. This is just S&P 500 data. Right. You can include all the publicly traded companies as well. And here's the link. Right. You can find out. So let me go there. Just go to interactive map. So you'll see. Here we go. Right. Let me check. This is S&P 500 data. Yes, 2021. Okay, and include all the industries. All right. So if you look at the total number of enterprises, right, clearly California, then Texas, then New York, and so on. Now, let's not look at enterprises because, enterprise can be large and small. Let's look at total revenue. Oh, the picture changed a little bit, right? You can see that in year 2021, right, California is still leading, and which is followed by Texas, New York, and Washington, right, because of Microsoft, because of Amazon, and so on, and Illinois, Ohio, Kansas, interesting, right, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Georgia, and so on and so forth. Now, and of course, you can look at different measures. And here is revenue, here is operating income, here is net income. Let's look at their liabilities. Now, liability picture is very different. The leading state is now California, is about New York, because New York has a lot of financial companies. They have huge amount of liabilities. Although it doesn't have the highest revenue, it has the highest liabilities. If you look at inventories, that would be Illinois, because Illinois has a lot of heavy industries, which is followed by Texas oil companies, and so on. So now let's say, suppose you are more interested in specific industries. You're not interested in general, economy, but more specific industries, right? Such as, let me just go, sorry, I'll go a few more. Is this one? Okay. Let me just check which, oh, this is still everybody. Now, ability. So if I look at, let's say, suppose we're looking for specific industries such as IT or energy or financials or healthcare. Do you know which state to go? Now, I'm sure if you know for IT, right, which is California, right? If you just select IT, here I just select information technology, right? So what do I find out is the California, which is number one, which is followed by Washington, and other places don't have much. What about energy? Clearly Texas, right? California also has a few interesting, and Ohio. Remember, this is S&P 500 companies, right? Now, if you look at financials, you work in the investment banking, asset management, and so on. Clearly, New York. It looks like Nebraska also has a lot. That's because Berkshire Hathaway is here, right? It's headquartered in Nebraska, and North Carolina, and California. So now for healthcare, I bet nobody knows. If you want to work in healthcare, where should you go? You mind if you type in answers to the chat box? Okay, just in the interest of time. Okay, we do have one answer, three answers. Mayo. Okay, that's good. That's good guess. Texas. MA. Well, that's a very interesting answer. Yes, absolutely. MLA, Florida. They are very good. However, and that's why I'm saying nobody knows about this. Ohio. One more. Let's say if we can guess right. Which state, if you want to work in healthcare, let's say pharmaceuticals or medical device and so on, right? In general, Penn, where to go? Unfortunately, the place you want to go is either New Jersey because of pharmaceuticals, extremely profitable, or New York. Massachusetts is also very, very good, right? California is not bad. California always is good in every aspect. Anyway, Illinois, Minnesota. That's because of medical device. So, of course, here I'm just looking at the broad industry. I'm looking at sectors. That is the top level. Let me show you just a little bit. So now, if your region is not among one of these, don't worry. Right, your region may be good at something, some other things. Let me just now. What you do is now, if you're interested in these projects already made project, you can just let me just make this bigger so you can see. You can just go here. It's called site. Site means you can copy. So that's let me just copy this to my own account, right? Which is copied from you right here. So let me just edit it and just show you. You can change industries to find the best industry in your own region, right? Let's see. Where am I? I'm here. Let me just use this one. Okay, this is let's see, where is that? Okay, here is the one. This is for the healthcare. Let me just edit it. Maximize. So here we go. Right. So there's a lot of industry you can choose from. Right. I'm just looking at the level one, which is the which is the highest level. We have 11 total industries. You can choose energy, materials, industries, consumer discretionary, which is automobile and fashion items and so on. Consumer staple, that means food, drink, and alcohol, that kind of stuff. And here, now you can also drill down to level 4, which is the most granular level. It actually has, I'm just getting into healthcare, right? So that has 156 different categories. So I'm sure you can find one that is your state is shine, is great at it. So let's just look at here, healthcare, right? You have healthcare equipment and services. When you say Mayo, that's healthcare facilities, right? Healthcare providers and services. Here we go. Let's say healthcare service facilities. Let's choose this one, right? To see which state. Let's still look at S&P 500 companies. And look at this one. Pennsylvania. Okay, that's good. Takes Tennessee. All right, that's because I only choose the S&P 500 companies. If I just unclick this and choose everybody, Minnesota, Illinois, right, Pennsylvania, New York, and so on and so forth. So let's see, this distribution is completely different, right? From New Jersey actually is nothing here, right? So just depending on the industries you choose, right, the distribution is very different. So I bet your location or your region will be good at certain industries that you have to find out by yourself. Okay, so let me just come back to finish up our analysis. I hope this is informative. Okay, now in the interest of time, right, let me just finish up quickly. So, but I do want to show you this. I think this is very interesting. So industry analysis, I will just talk about this. So the question is, right, which region you want to go, right? Now you also want to analyze which industry to enter or exit. Like we said before, you want to enter a sunrise industry, not a sunset industry. So you're looking at the industry in terms of their profitability, their growth, right? That means a career path, and also relatively lower financial risk. That means job security. So here I just want to show you two graphs, right? This graph, which I call the Galaxy, which in which I plot all the S&P 500 companies, right, on the same scatter plot, right, with x-axis being the total cost, that total cost they spend in that year, and total revenue they make. Right, I want to show you two interesting things. The first is, if you look carefully, right, now in the range of about $100 billion cost, right, we have, I think it's better to show you just using the interactive graph. Right, right here. Sorry, let me save this. Now let me close this and let me just go to here. Let me just edit it so you can see. So I choose all the industries, right, for United States. And year 2021, I use S&P 500 companies, but you can change anyway. So let's see. Look at this. This is $100 billion cost, this range, right? We have Microsoft, let's zoom in a little bit, and we have Verizon, and we have what is this company? So okay, so we have Microsoft versus Comcast. Okay, so this is the telecommunication company. Anyway, I have Target as well, right? They spend about the same amount of money, right? But they made very different profits. Look at this. Microsoft spent about 98, about 100 billion, okay? And made 168 billion. Right, Target, right, spent about 87 billion dollars, right? They made 93 billion. Yeah, very profitable, right? So, okay, the point is, right, if you spend, so the profitability is very different across different companies. And this one of the major driver behind that is because these companies belong to different industries. Right, now let me close this and just move on to the next one. And you can see, let's plot out the profit versus cost, right? Profit versus, so the x-axis is total cost, the y-axis is total net income, right? So you can see it more clearly than revenue. And for each industry sector, I also draw a regression line. To show, as they increase their cost, how much more profit they can make. Now, for United States, the most, I would say, profitable industry would be information technology, right here, right? Information technology, such as Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and so on and so forth. And what's behind it, right, is the second in place is financials, right? Now, Walmart, that's retailing, or especially staples retailing. They're actually one of the least profitable industries, with Amazon and the other retailing companies, consumer discretionary, right, in between. Okay, let me come back and conclude. the presentation. Here we go. Okay, so this is what I just talked about. So I have to skip this. You can compare industries, side by side as well. So what I want to say is, just one last thing I want to show you for the IT company, right? So we can find out if we look at S&P 500 IT companies in 2021, right? We find out this is called the profit frontier, right? These are the companies with the highest profit margin or operating margin within their revenue class compared to their peers. So the x-axis is total revenue, right? We find Apple, right? It has the highest revenue, also has a very high operating margin. Google has about the same operating margin as Apple, but it made much less money in that year. Microsoft, right? Very, very competitive with much higher operating margin. Facebook, Visa, and so on. So where is our old friend, IBM and HP? Right, they're here. Right, as time passed by, things changed significantly. Okay. So let me summarize, and that will share with you the feedback from students. Then we're all done. So job opportunity analysis, right, is the job intelligence. So we have to locate strategically. We have to enter the right industry and work for the right company. And doing so, we get plenty of opportunities. We get higher pay and lower effort. We get career growth and job security. And that is a dream job. Okay, the courses that used in these modules and also student feedback. So we use these modules for in various courses, such as supply chain analytics for both MS and MBAs, supply chain analytics essentials for undergraduates, and certified supply chain analytics professionals for executives. Now, some feedbacks received from students includes, so this is students who is very experienced, right? He said, I have been working professionally for over 25 years. And I thought I know everything. They all like that. So she said, I learned so much I was able to apply in my professional life from this class. And he's very excited to work with, he said, what caught my attention and made me the most excited is to work with the GCPS tools and never put such concise, consolidated reports and analysis together. Right? He says this class had the right subjects analysis and tools that get students excited about analyzing topics and making business decisions. Now, this student is clearly interested in data analysis, but not everybody is interested in analyze data. Like this one, he said, no one truly enjoyed, right, analyzing data. But when you use a tool like this one, and you can source it and analyze it in a way that is so visually informative. I think that's the keyword, right? That's what student wants, visually informative. Right? I find it to be tremendously helpful and fun. I didn't know. I don't know that I could have been provided the opportunity to do so anywhere else. And one student comment on the easy to use of the site and also across, you can access all the content data from with just a few clicks. And I think the last student actually pointed out the key value of this, of such a course module. He said is the data, right? With Python, and you have to collect and organize the data by yourself. Okay,